church hating. That's what I'm going to deal with because I had an experience last night with one of my favorite tarot card readers. I'm not going to call out any names or anything like that, but I knew Spirit never lets me down. I knew some things were being directed at me after being on that page for a long time, not, I think, less than a year. But I happened to find her, and she's an excellent reader, spiritual, and all those things. But I knew when the tarot reader looked into the camera and started saying some of the things that were being said, they were directed at me. So now, because you see Charlotte, Pastor Caldwell, don't get old Charlie Shar twisted. I get if you despise the organization, that body that has been built on the spiritual backs of people. I get if you don't like that. I don't like it either. And I get that you're speaking against the church, but let me put you on notice. I am not church. I am kingdom. I was disappointed with all the caps and everything going on and on about the church. It was just bashing. That makes you, as a spiritualist, no better than the church that sat and told me I couldn't do yoga because that was of the devil. You shouldn't be going to see tarot readers. What do you mean? You saw this person that wasn't everything was a demon. And last night, the group made everything about church a demon. In fact, if I were to assess it, you were acting like the church. And then you boldly said every church should have to pay taxes. Excuse me. Do you not know the Buddhist temples function under 501c3? The Hindi temples under 501c3? Not just what you know as Christian church. See, that's just it. Christian church thinks it's the only thing that's spiritual, and it is not. And last night, I felt like the leader, the tarot reader, and the group felt like they were the only thing that was spirit, and they were not. And I encountered this. My daughter has urged me at times to change my name from Charlotte Pastor Caldwell, because I know people see pastor and all of these things come flooding through their minds, flooding through. I was not the source of the hurt and the wounds that was given to you by the organizations called church. I too have them. But I am not church. I am all day, every day kingdom. So I was disappointed. Yeah, hate the church. Hate it. But don't hate the people. And I felt like when it was directed at me, you were hating on me. You do not know my style as far as walking with the congregants. I walk with the congregants as a spiritual leader. And sometimes, in fact, I learn more from them the way I did today when we just did a testimonial service because we had a major storm in Georgia. I had no power, anything today. And the members were willing to, and they felt like it was safe spiritual space to tell their truth. I felt unsafe in that tarot reading last night. While I've loved, sometimes I've stayed on as long as an hour to 2 hours with this reader, working it out. She's very good at what she does. But last night, I saw that wound. I didn't give it to you. I wasn't part of an organization that gave you those church wounds that you have. And the members in your group, I didn't give you those wounds. I have come alongside, added to the conversation, all of those things. So when you strongly come out like, yeah, they shouldn't be paying taxes. All the leaders are doing is just getting money out of people and doing stuff. And then to looking directly into the camera, I knew you were talking about me. I have lived below the poverty level since I started studying. Not that I owe you or anyone else an explanation. But tarot card readers, I love watching you. Grand Madame, I don't think would have ever done that to me. Ever. But don't turn around and become worse than what you were running from. I wasn't hurt. I was greatly disappointed. You can put facts in one place, but when you pull people into those facts that come from an organization, because I will tell you, I have yet to step in a church organization where there are not people who are wounded and hurt, and they're even afraid, dare I say, to tell their truth, because church has not always been a safe place for truth. It is where your truth will get you shunned and embarrassed and sometimes put out. I've witnessed it over and over again, only to look at people and say, why would you do that? They came and opened their hearts to you. Yeah, but what is that? That's not the Great Spirit. And then people will quote to me scripture. I'll be like, I don't know what you're dealing with, but that's not what I'm dealing with. Because that notion of salvation has always been present. What I have found in the underworld sometimes are splintered souls that splintered for various reasons in various periods of time. And those souls just want to be mended and reconnected fully to the other parts of their soul and spirit that they might ascend. Yeah, I do that type of work. Charlotte Pastor Caldwell does that type of work. But I love my tarot card readers. But what I will not put up with is being insulted because you see Charlotte Pastor Caldwell. Don't let the pastor part fool you. Because I knew last night exactly when things were being directed at me, and I slowly backed myself out of the room so that I didn't cause trouble. Because I can bring it. I just chose not to. I hold my sword until it is worth taking the swing. And I didn't do that because you are a powerful African descendant woman. You have powerful spiritual gifts. Do not lose your footing by complaining about an organization that, by the way, has very spiritual people in it. Some who are trying to bring great change to organizations that are fighting tooth and nail. I know a denomination that commissioned a study as to whether or not women should pastor. And when those PhDs were done and came back and said, yeah, because the first pastors were women. They took it and it's on a shelf collecting dust. And they have been fighting for 20, 30 years trying to get women fully ordained. So I understand the church struggle. I'm the one who, as a little girl, church women, good old church women, told me that I was a bastard. Yeah, they did. And what did I do as a little girl? Because I wasn't stupid then either. I went home and got my dictionary. And I said, oh, okay. Or one time when they wanted me to be the lead in something at church, because my grandmother, she raised me. She was in the habit of going to church. Her father was a Baptist preacher. I was a child. I did what I was supposed to do when they told me to do it. Well, not always. And I remember them having a long meeting about some huge program. And someone wanted me to do the lead. And one of the ladies finally said, how can we have this child up there when she doesn't have a father? And I sat up immediately and said, that's stupid. Everybody has a father. And everybody went, oh. And my grandmother, shh. I ended up doing the lead. But I get that churches have greatly wounded people, but church is not the only spiritual avenue to God. And when you start saying things like, yeah, they shouldn't pay taxes, I want you to know this. I know African spiritual mystics that minister to a lot of people. They function under a 501c3. I know Wiccan people that function under it too. Not just Ifa or Vodun. They function under the 501c3. And more than likely, as your tarot reading grows and the income, you're going to want to do that too. Whether you LLC and then incorporate and do that, you're going to want to do it too. But to act as if the church all by itself, you became just like the church last night in your complaint and how it was laid out. And I just wanted to come by and say I felt some kind of way about it. Because I'm Charlotte Pastor Caldwell does not mean I come ready for you to abuse me. Mm-mm. I love sharing. I love motivating people. I motivate people not to go to church, but to go to God, to go to the higher heavens, to interact with the Great Spirit. I'm not motivating people to go to church. I'm motivating people to go to God. Remember, I am kingdom. I am not church. I am the living word. I know that because of the records I have seen in the higher heavens as I journey through the astral plane, sometimes going into the underworld, coming back into the fullness of light and understanding through divining the light exactly why I was allowed to go there to see what I saw and what it meant. No, I don't do tarot cards. I have, and I still have some around here. That's not what I'm called to do. But this is what you are called to do. Be mindful that you don't bring the same wounds to people that you're complaining about you have from organizations called church. Because what I saw last night could happen in any church. I've seen people stand up and look almost at people and say, yeah, this is wrong. And some people need to understand. Yeah, I've seen that in church. Now, I will tell you, they don't do it to me because I talk back. I understand my position in the higher heavens and the higher elevation that this earth is about to go to. I understand my position, which is why I know I'm directed many times to join in and to listen and to hear the divining and the things that are going on. Divining has been going on since the beginning of time. In fact, if people who are of church studied the Jewish text more, they would see that they were divining. They didn't want the divining avenues of other communities, but nevertheless, they were divining. So hate the church, hate the organizations, but don't hate the people. Hate the organizations. Hate those big old groups of people that are stepping on folks and just bleeding money out of them. Hate them. I'm with you. Hate that. But don't hate the people. Some people want to stretch and reach out so much to the higher heavens and have those spiritual encounters, and they've just been mentally engineered to think the only way to do that is through paying tithes and offering, being faithful to a pastor, being faithful to a church, that's how they've been mentally engineered. And to undo that mental engineering, it is hard work. I do it. That's why there was a freedom today when they recognized I'm doing service through my phone. I have no power. I don't have this. I gave the people the floor. They are the whole service. They're the whole reason. It's the people. People want to come together spiritually and hear the good things that have been done. And sometimes people just want you to believe with them. Last week, someone said, look, got something going on with my job. At the end of service, I need y'all to believe with me. This week, testimony. Everything resolved. Everything. Even those on the job that she thought were enemies, baby helped her out. And just because some folks would say little simple country folks decided to pray and engage the higher heavens on her behalf, that she would have the most benevolent outcome. And that's what I do every day. I want each and every one of you to have the most benevolent outcome. Even the tarot card reader that I felt disrespected by and dismissed by last night. I will not join any more of the readings because I don't have to defend myself. I never have to defend who I am to anyone. And I pray that her channel has the most benevolent outcome. I don't have any ill will. I just wanted to put it out here. You tarot card readers, you spend all that time bashing church because you have a lot of people that are following you who left the church for good reasons. Don't feed the negative energy. You're always saying don't feed the negative energy. Don't feed the fear because it draws something different to you. the thing you fear will come upon you. Don't turn around and you're sitting in the same type of pool that the church has filled up for themselves. And when you see someone who has pastor in their name, that doesn't mean automatically attack. It doesn't. So like I said, out of respect for my African descendant sister, I will not be going back to any of her readings. There's no, if she does this or they do that, it's none of that. I will simply remove myself because I've learned to do no harm. I believe, especially in this country, people have been hurt and harmed enough. Spiritually, physically, mentally, people have been harmed enough. So generally when hurt and harm comes to me, I say something. You step on my toe, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, they stepped on my toe. I'm going to say, ouch, that hurt. And that's what I'm doing right now. Ouch, that hurt. So as we are trying to get it together around here after not having power from about 3:30 in the morning until almost noon today, and then recognizing that we did have, I don't know if it was a full-blown tornado, but we definitely had something come through our neighborhood with all the trees that are down, and they're all going in the same direction. That's my husband and I went out and went, yeah. And it was pretty scary. We went to our safe space. Everyone's alarm was going on, and my family was going, don't you hear that alarm? I was like, no, baby, I sleep when it's storming. That was some good sleep. But I'm thankful that we got through. We're going to do a double check around our property and make sure there's no damage or anything like that. But it was lively last night, and I understand 9 people between Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, and maybe another area. 9 people have been unalived because of the storm. So my sincere condolences to those families for their loss. I think one person lost their life in Georgia. But I know a colleague of mine, she was speaking somewhere today, and she's like me, if there's a good storm, we're going to sleep. And she said she got up and went on and got there. And she heard all of these people saying, yeah, we didn't have any power. You know, I'm in the bathroom checking my hair and doing so. We had no power. She's like, why do people not have power? And they started talking about the storm. She was oblivious to it. I was like, you didn't see all the limbs? And so, she said, I didn't. I was just getting there. I knew what time I had to be there as a guest speaker. But I'm like her. When a good storm comes, I will have my little blanket. And I did that last night up until I fell asleep, watched the tarot card reading, and then I was watching some of the weather, and I knew something was coming, but I didn't know it was going to be that severe. You know, they can say severe. I used to be a weather anchor, by the way, a weather anchor. And I will tell you, having been that person on TV who does the weather and says, you know, we have coming over here Mr. Tux, who is one of my little cats that likes to get in when I'm doing a video. I used to do that, but I will tell you, it is always just a good guess. Sometimes they nail it. Sometimes it might be 5 or 6 hours off because it is the measuring of the wind that makes the difference. If the wind shifts just a little bit, the whole forecast will change. So I say that to everyone. Sometimes when you shift your attitude and how you deal with your own wounds and inner hurt, the whole forecast will change. I will see you guys tomorrow.